let's take a little bit more of a look at the banking window. In the previous YouTube video, we took a look at setting up a cash basis company and running through the check register and bank reconciliation. But let's take a look at these other buttons on this banking window so that we know what they are for. Here we have the Write Checks button. It's the same Write Checks button that you have used, say, in Vendors and Purchases. This Write Checks button there, it's the same button. They just have it various places. So that if you are a cash basis company, you can just write checks right from this window. You don't have to go into Vendors and Purchases window if you don't need to go into Vendor and Purchases windows. So then we have our Account Register button, which we looked at fully in the previous YouTube video. Analysis Tools is where we can take a look at analyzing some of our accounts and comparing them to previous dates and things like that to see if something looks funny. The Chart of Accounts, we're very familiar with that button all the way from Chapter 1. Here's the Receive Money button. This is the same Receive Money button that we have in the Customers and Sales window, exactly the same. Here's Enter Bills. This is the same one as in the Vendors and Purchases. Here's Bank Deposits and Pay Bills. Pay Bills is in the Vendors and Purchases. So let's talk about this Bank Deposit button. If we show receipts on the check register, then it generally knows that we did deposit those. Okay? But this is a way, particularly if we're a company that collects up a bunch of different receipts and then we make one run to the bank and deposit one thing. Okay, and so we could check that off that we are depositing that. But then that's going to show as a deposit on April 9th, which is not what we want here. Okay, we had already deposited that. But you might have 10 things here that you receive from different customers, and this is saying it's going to be deposited into the regular checking account on this particular day, and you're going to have a deposit ticket ID. And so that deposit ticket ID is sitting at 1 now, but you can make it anything you want. You can make it the date. So if the date that you deposited these is 03/15/15, then you could put that as a deposit ticket ID. And all the ones that you check off then means that they were all deposited on that with that same deposit. That way, when you go to do a bank reconciliation, it's going to show the deposits. It's going to show all the deposits as being the total deposit that you made in that bank, which makes it a lot easier. If you don't do the bank deposits, then it's going to show each different customer that gave us money as a separate deposit. But when you went to the bank, you made one giant deposit. So on the bank statement, it's going to show that one giant number instead of a bunch of little numbers. Then you got to figure out, well, which one of these went with that one deposit. So if you use this bank deposit button, you can have all those, however many, and you just check off all that they all went deposited together on this particular day. And then that number will show up on your bank rec screen, and it'll show up on your bank statement as being the same number, and it makes it easier in real life. For our purposes for Accounting 240, we don't really need to use this button. The Void Checks button is if you wrote a check and you already put it in the mail. And then you want to void it out. Then you find out that, oops, that check was made out to the wrong person, made out for the wrong amount, or something is wrong with it, and you want to void that check. Then you will go in, and it's bringing up, when I click on void checks, it brings up my checks that didn't already clear the bank. Of course, the other check already cleared the bank, so it's too late now to void that one. Okay, but this one here hasn't cleared the bank yet, so I could void this particular check if I want to. And if I click on void here, it would just take that whole transaction out and change it would put a journal entry in. Okay, here in our class, we don't really need this button, because if we make a mistake on a check, we can just go back and find that same check. So I can go to write checks, view and edit checks. Okay, I haven't written any checks this period, so I can change this down here to say this quarter, oops, still starts, this quarter still starts, this year to date. Okay. 1/1 to 4/9. Do not know why these are not coming up. Okay, I am not sure. But in any case, we can find, if I find a particular check, and I can go here and say this week, this year. Okay, that brings up all my deposits and checks, and if I want to, if this $300 check was actually supposed to be $400 and you accidentally typed in $300, I just bring this up and change it. There we go. It's changed. Okay? Now it's bringing me this note that this transaction happened in a previous period. We're in April right now, so technically I should have gone back in my period bar to March and made this change. But I can still make it from now. It says, do you want to continue? It's just warning me. Do you really want to change to something that happened in a previous period? And yes, I do. Okay? So now it's changed. Of course, I would have to go back and redo my March bank reconciliation. Okay. So we don't really need the void checks either. We can just change the check however we need to when it comes to that. Okay? This is a journal entry button. You also have a general journal entry you can do as a shortcut over here. So this is the same thing. We've done this before. Just brings up if you want to put in a journal entry, particularly for adjusting entries. In Project 7, you're going to have to do some adjusting entries, and you would bring up this general journal to do adjusting entries. Okay, and here's our reports button, and we looked at that last time. These are our various bank-related reports that we can do. And we had already looked at the account register and the account reconciliation. You can look at a specific outstanding checks or deposit in transit to see if there's something on there that's a problem that you need to deal with, or etc. The bank deposit report, we don't have any bank deposits that we put all together as to one deposit. Okay, so we don't have anything there for this particular instance. Okay, that finishes up our banking topic.